The courtroom was silent except for the sound of my lawyer sliding a USB drive across the polished oak table. Judge Morrison looked at me over her reading glasses, then at my husband Marcus, then back at the small black device. "Your Honor," my attorney said, her voice steady and cold, "what you're about to see was recorded on December 25th of last year, Christmas Day, in the plaintiff's own home, by her brother-in-law, who will testify that everything on this recording is authentic and unedited." Marcus went pale. I watched the color drain from his face like water circling a drain. His lawyer, some overpriced shark in a $3,000 suit, leaned over and whispered something urgent in his ear. Marcus shook his head violently, but I could see his hands trembling on the table. My sister Jade sat 3 rows behind him. She wore all black, like she was already in mourning. Maybe she was. Maybe she knew what was coming. The bailiff inserted the drive into the laptop, connected to the courtroom monitor. The screen flickered to life, and there it was. Christmas Day, my kitchen, my husband, my sister. The camera angle showed them clearly. Marcus had Jade pressed against the island where I'd rolled out sugar cookie dough that morning with our daughters. His hands were in her hair. Her legs were wrapped around his waist. And the sounds, God, the sounds they made. "Finally," Marcus's voice came through the speakers, breathless and excited. "I thought your boring sister would never leave to pick up her mother." Jade laughed. That laugh I'd heard 1,000 times growing up, at sleepovers and birthday parties and late-night phone calls when we shared secrets. "She's so clueless, Marcus. Did you see her face when I offered to help you set up the Christmas tree? She actually thanked me." The judge's expression didn't change, but I saw her jaw tighten. The video continued. "They didn't just kiss. They talked. They planned. They mocked me." "How much longer do we have to keep this up?" Jade asked, adjusting her dress, the red one I'd helped her pick out at Nordstrom 2 weeks earlier, because she said she wanted to look nice for family photos. "Until the business acquisition closes," Marcus said, running his hands down her back. "Simone's father won't sign over the commercial properties if he thinks our marriage is falling apart. Once those deeds transfer, I'll file for divorce, claim she's mentally unstable, get full custody of the girls, and we can finally be together." My breath caught even though I'd seen this video 50 times. Even though I'd memorized every word, every gesture, every casual cruelty. "And the money from her consulting firm?" Jade pressed. "You said we'd get that too." Marcus grinned. "Already siphoning it. She signs whatever I put in front of her. Last month alone, I moved $80,000 to an offshore account. By the time this is over, she'll have nothing. Just like she deserves for being so goddamn trusting." In the courtroom, Marcus stood up abruptly. "Your Honor, this is doctored. It's fake. My brother has always hated me," he would. "Sit down, Mr. Chen," Judge Morrison said quietly. Her voice could have frozen hell. The video kept playing. Marcus and Jade kissing again, his phone buzzing, him checking it and smiling. "It's her," he said, showing Jade the screen. "She's asking if we need anything from the store." "Should I ask for more whipped cream?" He laughed. "So we can defile her kitchen even more?" Jade's giggle made my stomach turn. "You're terrible. I love it." Before I continue, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from you. And if this story resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. The video ended. The courtroom stayed silent for a long moment. Then my lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we have 6 more videos like this one, all recorded over the past 14 months, all showing the defendant and the plaintiff's sister engaging in an affair while systematically planning to defraud Miss Chen of her inheritance, her business assets, and custody of her 2 minor children. We also have bank statements showing $147,000 transferred without Miss Chen's knowledge or consent, text messages between the defendant and Miss Jade Mitchell discussing how to gaslight the plaintiff into believing she was having memory problems, and testimony from 3 witnesses who will confirm that this affair has been ongoing for nearly 2 years. Judge Morrison looked at Marcus like he was something she'd scraped off her shoe. "I've seen enough. We'll reconvene tomorrow at 9 a.m. for testimony. Mr. Chen, I strongly suggest you instruct your attorney to discuss settlement options with Miss Chen's counsel, because if this case goes to trial with this evidence, I guarantee you will not like the outcome." Marcus tried to speak, but nothing came out. His lawyer grabbed his arm and pulled him toward the exit. As they passed my row, Marcus looked at me, really looked at me, and for the first time in our 12-year marriage, I saw him clearly. Not the man I fell in love with, not the father of my children. Just a stranger, wearing a familiar face. "Simone," he whispered, "please, we can talk about this." "No," I said. My voice didn't shake. "We can't." His lawyer dragged him out. Jade had already fled. I sat there in the empty courtroom, my hands folded in my lap, and thought about the question everyone had asked me over the past 3 months. How did you find out? Let me tell you how I got here. 12 years ago, Marcus Chen walked into the consulting firm where I worked as a junior analyst and changed my life. He was there for a meeting with our CEO about a potential partnership. I was 26, fresh off my MBA, hungry to prove myself. He was 31, ambitious, charismatic, already making waves in commercial real estate development. We met in the elevator. He smiled at me, that devastating smile that made his eyes crinkle at the corners, and asked if I knew where the good coffee was in this building. I told him the break room stuff was terrible, but there was a place 2 blocks away that did pour-overs. He asked if I'd show him. 3 hours later, we were still there, talking about everything, our families, our dreams, the businesses we wanted to build. He told me about his vision for transforming neglected properties into community spaces. I told him about my plans to start my own consulting firm focused on helping minority-owned businesses scale. "You're brilliant," he said, and the way he looked at me like I was the only person in the world made me believe it. We got married 14 months later. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. My father walked me down the aisle with tears in his eyes. My mother couldn't stop smiling. And my sister Jade was my maid of honor, wearing the lavender dress we'd picked out together, holding my bouquet while I said my vows. "I'll love you forever," Marcus promised, sliding the ring onto my finger. "Through everything, you and me against the world." I believed him. The first 5 years were good, better than good. We bought our first house in Oak Park, a beautiful Victorian with a wraparound porch and a garden where I grew tomatoes and herbs. Marcus's real estate company grew steadily. I launched my consulting firm and landed 3 major clients in the first year. We had our daughter Zoe when I was 29. She came out screaming, all 8 pounds of fury and determination. Marcus cried, holding her. "She's perfect," he whispered, "just like you." 3 years later, we had Maya. Quieter than her sister, thoughtful, with Marcus's dark eyes and my smile. Our family felt complete. Marcus's brother Derek lived across town with his wife Paulina. We did Sunday dinners at their place or ours, alternating. Derek was the opposite of Marcus, quieter, more cautious, worked as an accountant, but they were close. Derek had been Marcus's best man. Our daughters called him Uncle Derek and drew him pictures that he kept in his office. Jade came around often too. After our parents retired to Arizona, she was the family I had left in Chicago. She'd stayed single, working her way up in pharmaceutical sales, living in a downtown high-rise that I'd helped her afford by co-signing her lease. We did sister brunches every other Saturday. She FaceTimed with my girls. She was part of our lives, woven in like thread through fabric. Looking back, I can see the red flags I ignored. The way Marcus started working late more often, starting about 2 years ago. "Big acquisition," he'd say, kissing my forehead before leaving at 7 p.m. "This one's going to change everything for us, babe." The way he became protective of his phone, angling it away when texts came through, taking calls in his car instead of the kitchen like he used to. The way Jade started dropping by when Marcus was home, wearing clothes that seemed just a bit too revealing for casual visits. "I was in the neighborhood," she'd say with that bright smile. "Thought I'd say hi." The way Marcus encouraged me to travel more for consulting work. "You're so talented, Simone. You should take that contract in Denver. Don't worry about the girls, I can handle 2 weeks." Jade offered to help too, the way they looked at each other sometimes. Quick glances I told myself I was imagining. The way Marcus started buying me expensive gifts out of nowhere. A diamond tennis bracelet in October, a new laptop in November. "You deserve it," he'd say, "for everything you do for this family." I thought he was being romantic. I thought we were happy. I thought I knew my husband. I thought I knew my sister. I was wrong about everything. Christmas 2023 started like every year before it. I woke up at 6 a.m. to prep the turkey. Marcus was still asleep, snoring softly. The girls wouldn't be up for another hour, but I liked the quiet morning time. Just me in the kitchen and the smell of coffee brewing. My parents were spending the holidays with my uncle in Scottsdale, so it was going to be a smaller gathering. Derek and Paulina, their 2 kids, Jade, and us. I'd bought enough food to feed 20 people anyway. That's just how I am. Derek called me around 9 while I was basting the turkey. "Hey Simone, can I talk to you for a second?" His voice sounded strange, tight. "Sure, what's up? You guys still coming at 2? "Yeah, we'll be there. But I need to..." He paused. "Can you meet me outside when we get there? Before we come in? Just for a minute. Is everything okay? Is Paulina?" "She's fine. Everyone's fine. I just need to talk to you. Privately." My stomach nodded. "Derek, you're scaring me." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Simone. Just trust me. 2 o'clock, outside." He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, my mind racing. Derek wasn't dramatic. He didn't do cryptic. If he needed to talk to me privately, something was wrong. Marcus came downstairs, already dressed in the cashmere sweater I'd bought him for his birthday. Who was that? Derek. Confirming they're coming at 2. "Cool. I'm going to run out for..." "More whipped cream?" I asked without thinking. He froze. "What?" "For the pies. I forgot to get whipped cream yesterday. Can you grab some?" His shoulders relaxed. "Oh, yeah, sure. I'll go to Whole Foods. Back in 30. He kissed my cheek and left. The girls woke up and tore into their presents under the tree. Zoe got the bike she'd been begging for. Maya got an art set and immediately started drawing. Their laughter filled the house with warmth and light. I tried to focus on them, on the joy of Christmas morning, but Derek's call haunted me. At 1:30, Jade showed up early. "Merry Christmas," she sang, pulling me into a hug. She smelled like expensive perfume Jo Malone, the kind I'd told her I liked but could never justify buying. I brought wine. Well, I brought 6 bottles because you know how Derek drinks when Paulina's driving. She looked beautiful. The red dress I'd helped her buy hugged her in all the right places. Her makeup was perfect. She'd always been the pretty sister, the one who turned heads. I'd made peace with that a long time ago. "You look amazing," I told her, because she did. "Thanks, you too." "Babe." She glanced toward the kitchen. "Is Marcus around?" I wanted to ask him about setting up my new TV mount. You know, I'm hopeless with tools. He went to the store. He'll be back soon. "Oh, perfect. I'll just wait." She poured herself a glass of wine. "So how are the girls? Have they destroyed the living room yet?" We chatted. Normal sister things. She asked about my consulting work. I asked about her latest sales commission. Everything felt normal. Everything felt like a lie. At exactly 2 o'clock, Derek's Escalade pulled up. I saw it through the front window and my stomach dropped. "Hey, I'm going to run out and say hi to Derek and Paulina," I said to Jade. "Can you watch the turkey? Timer's set for 20 minutes. "Of course, I got you." I grabbed my coat and went outside. Derek was standing by his car, hands in his pockets. Paulina was getting the kids out of the back, but when she saw me, she gave Derek a look and took the children around to the backyard. "Derek," I started. "What's going on?" He looked like he'd aged 10 years since I'd seen him 2 weeks ago. "Simone, you need to see what they do when you're gone." "What?" "Who?" "Marcus and Jade." The world tilted. "What are you talking about?" Derek pulled out his phone. "Last month, I came over to drop off some tax documents Marcus needed. You were in Denver for that consulting job. The girls were at school. I had a key. Marcus gave it to me years ago for emergencies." "Derek." I walked in and heard them. "In your bedroom." I should have left. I should have said something right then. But I was in shock. So I started recording. I've been recording every time since. "Simone, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner, but I needed to be sure. I needed enough proof that you'd believe me." He handed me his phone. The screen showed a video. My bedroom. My bed. Marcus and Jade, naked, tangled together. My vision went black at the edges. "There's more," Derek whispered. "So much more. The business deals he's making behind your back, the money he's moving, the way they talk about you. Simone, They're planning to destroy you. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I was seeing. I set up cameras, Derek continued. In your kitchen, your living room. Marcus doesn't know. I did it 3 weeks ago when you took the girls to see your parents in Arizona. I have everything. Every conversation, every time they've been together in your house. I have it all. I looked at the phone, at my husband, at my sister, at the evidence of a betrayal so deep I couldn't fathom the bottom. Why? I finally asked. Why would they? Money, Derek said bitterly. Your father's properties, your business. Marcus is in financial trouble, bad investments he hasn't told you about. He needs your father's commercial real estate portfolio to stay solvent. And Jade, he stopped, his jaw working. She's always been jealous of you, Simone. Even I could see it. The front door opened. Marcus stepped out. Babe, you coming in? Turkey's almost... He saw Derek's face, then mine. His expression changed. What's going on? Derek stepped between us. She knows. Knows what? But Marcus's voice was too high, too defensive. I held up the phone, held up the evidence of his betrayal. Marcus went white, and that's when I knew. It was all true. Every terrible thing Derek had told me. All of it. Get out, I said. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Someone harder. Someone I didn't recognize. Get out of my house. Simone, let me explain. Get out! The door opened again. Jade stepped out, saw all of us, and froze. You too, I said. Both of you. Get out of my house before I call the police. Marcus reached for me. You don't understand. Derek grabbed his arm. Touch her and I'll break your jaw. I mean it, Marcus. Paulina appeared with my daughters. Girls, why don't you show me your presents inside? I heard you got some really cool stuff. Zoe and Maya, sensing the tension, went inside without arguing. Marcus and Jade stood there on my front lawn, Christmas lights twinkling behind them, looking at me like strangers caught in a crime. You have 30 seconds to get off my property, I said, or I'm calling 911. They left. Derek handed me his phone. Everything's backed up. Cloud storage, external drives, multiple copies. We're going to bury them, Simone. I promise you. I looked at my brother-in-law, the man who'd stayed loyal when his own brother had betrayed me. Thank you, I whispered. Then I went inside, locked the door, and called the best divorce attorney in Chicago. The war had just begun. The attorney I hired was named Vanessa Kim, and her reputation preceded her. The destroyer, they called her in legal circles. She didn't take divorce cases to mediate. She took them to win. Our first meeting was December 27th at her downtown office. Derek came with me, bringing 3 external hard drives containing every video, every recording, every piece of evidence he'd gathered. Vanessa was 53, sharp as glass, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my car payment. She took one look at me, probably seeing the dark circles under my eyes, the hair I hadn't washed in 2 days, and pushed a box of tissues across her desk. I don't cry in front of opposing counsel, she said, so get it out now if you need to. I didn't cry. I'd cried enough. Good, Vanessa said. Let's see what we're working with. Derek set up his laptop. For the next 3 hours, we watched. We watched Marcus and Jade in my home, in my bed, in my kitchen, in my life. We listened to them plan my destruction with the casual cruelty of people who'd never faced real consequences. Vanessa's expression never changed. She just took notes. Lots of notes. When it was over, she sat back. How long have you been married? 12 years. Together for 13. Children? 2 daughters, 8 and 5. Your assets? I pulled out the folder I'd prepared. Our house, valued at $780,000. Joint bank accounts with roughly $45,000. My consulting firm, which I built from scratch, it's worth approximately $400,000 based on last year's revenue. Marcus's real estate company, which he claims is worth $2 million, but I suspect is exaggerated. Your father's commercial properties? Not technically mine yet. My father owns 6 commercial buildings across Chicago, total value around $12 million. He'd planned to transfer them to me as part of estate planning next year when he turned 70. Marcus knew this. We discussed it with my father's attorney. Vanessa made another note. And your sister? What about her? Does she have assets we can go after? The question surprised me. Why would we? Alienation of affection is still actionable in some circumstances. Plus, if she received any gifts or money from your husband using marital assets, we can compel her to return them. Vanessa smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I don't just destroy cheating husbands, Miss Chen. I destroy everyone who helped them do it. I thought about Jade's downtown apartment that I'd co-signed, the car Marcus had helped her lease, the shopping trips she could never have afforded on her pharmaceutical sales salary. She's been living beyond her means for 2 years, I said slowly. Since this affair started, then we're going to find out exactly how she's been funding her lifestyle. Vanessa buzzed her assistant. James, I need a forensic accountant. Get me Sarah Williamson. Tell her I'll pay her rush rate. Derek leaned forward. There's something else. Marcus has been making unusual transactions, large wire transfers to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. I noticed it when I was reviewing some shared business documents. We co-own a small property together, and I have access to some of his financial records for that. Vanessa's eyes sharpened. How much? At least $150,000 over the past 8 months, maybe more. He's hiding assets. Vanessa was already typing. Classic divorce planning. He's been preparing to leave you for months, Simone. Moving money where you can't touch it. Positioning himself financially. The question is, how much more has he moved that we don't know about? My hands clenched. All those nights he'd asked me to sign things. Just tax documents, babe. Just a business form, honey. Just a beneficiary update for my life insurance. What had I signed? What had I authorized without reading carefully because I trusted him? I need you to get me everything, Vanessa said. Every bank statement, every credit card bill, every piece of financial documentation you can find. I want 5 years of records. Can you access his office at home? Yes. He's been staying at a hotel since I kicked him out. He hasn't come back for his things yet. Good. Derek, can you help her? When he nodded, Vanessa continued. Get everything. Every file, every document, every scrap of paper. Photograph it all. Make copies. Put the originals back exactly where you found them so he doesn't know we're on to him. What about custody? I asked. My voice cracked on the word. He said he was going to claim I'm mentally unstable, that he'd take my girls. Vanessa's expression softened slightly. He can claim whatever he wants. But we have him on video plotting to lie to the court. We have evidence of his adultery and financial fraud. No judge is going to give him custody after seeing what we have. Your girls are safe, Simone. I promise you that. The relief made me dizzy. Now, Vanessa said, opening a thick legal pad. I need you to tell me everything. From the beginning. Every detail, no matter how small. When did you first notice something was off? Were there any unusual purchases? Did his behavior change? Did your sister say anything strange? I spent the next 2 hours going through everything. The late nights, the phone calls taken in private, the way Jade had become overly helpful, offering to babysit, to run errands, to be around my husband more and more. She volunteered to help him set up Christmas decorations, I said. I remember thinking it was sweet, that she wanted to spend time with family. Vanessa wrote it all down. The affair started approximately 2 years ago? Based on Derek's timeline and what I'm remembering, yes. That matches when your father first mentioned the property transfer. Marcus knew a windfall was coming and made sure he had access to you and to it. He married me for my money? The words tasted bitter. I don't know what his intentions were 13 years ago. But 2 years ago, when he realized your net worth was about to increase by $12 million? Yes. He made a calculated decision to position himself to take as much as possible. Vanessa closed her notepad. The good news is, we're going to make sure he gets exactly nothing. That night, Derek and I went to my house. It was strange being there, in the rooms where my marriage had died. The Christmas decorations were still up the tree with lights twinkling, the stockings hung on the mantel, the wreaths on the doors. Everything looked perfect. Everything was a lie. Where would he keep financial documents? Derek asked. His office, upstairs. Marcus's home office was his sanctuary. I rarely went in there. He'd told me it was his space to focus, to work, to think. I'd respected that boundary. I didn't respect anything anymore. The office was immaculate. Sleek desk, ergonomic chair, filing cabinets organized with neat labels. Everything in its place, everything under control. We started with the filing cabinets. The first drawer had tax returns. I photographed every page. The second drawer had business contracts. I photographed those too. The third drawer was labeled personal. Inside were folders. Bank statements, investment accounts, credit cards, insurance, and then I saw it. A folder labeled Contracts JM. JM. Jade Mitchell. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a lease agreement for a downtown apartment, the one I'd co-signed for Jade 2 years ago, except this wasn't the lease I'd signed. This one showed Marcus as the primary leaseholder. The rent was $3,200 a month. He's been paying her rent, I whispered. There was more. A car lease in Jade's name, with Marcus as the guarantor. A credit card statement showing purchases at Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue. Thousands of dollars in charges every month. He's been keeping her, Derek said, his voice hollow, like a mistress in a Victorian novel. At the bottom of the folder was a handwritten note in Marcus's writing. J apartment paid through June, car through September. After that, we'll be together and you won't need any of this. Just a few more months of dealing with S and her family. Then it's our turn. Love you always. M. I took a picture, saved it, kept going. The next folder was labeled S Medical. Inside were printouts from my doctor's appointments, prescription receipts, and a letter from a psychiatrist I'd never seen. I read it twice before I understood what I was looking at. It was an evaluation of me, claiming I'd been experiencing paranoid delusions, memory loss, emotional instability. It was dated 6 months ago. I'd never been to a psychiatrist. I'd never had these symptoms. He was building a case, Derek said, reading over my shoulder, to claim you were unfit so he could get custody. But this isn't real. I never saw this doctor. Exactly, which means he either forged it or paid someone to create it. Either way, it's fraud. I photographed everything. The fake medical records, the secret payments to Jade, the carefully constructed plan to paint me as mentally unstable while he played the concerned husband. In the back of a bottom drawer, Derek found bank statements for an account I'd never seen before. Marcus had opened it 8 months ago. The balance showed deposits totaling $197,000. Where did this money come from? I asked. Derek compared the dates to other statements. Here, look. Every time your consulting firm had a major payment come in, there's a corresponding withdrawal from your business account within a few days. Then a deposit to this hidden account. He's been stealing from my business. Not stealing. Embezzling. That's a crime, Simone. Not just divorce court stuff. Actual criminal fraud. We kept searching, found more statements, more transfers, more evidence of systematic theft. By the time we finished, it was 3 a.m. We'd photographed over 400 pages of documents. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know what you're doing. You're making a mistake. We can still fix this. Call me. M. I showed Derek. He must have been notified about someone accessing his cloud storage or email, Derek said. Or maybe he has cameras here we don't know about. Another text came through. If you go through with this, you'll regret it. Think about the girls. Think about your reputation. I'll ruin you, Simone. Don't test me. I saved the texts. More evidence. Then I blocked his number and called Vanessa's emergency line. He's threatening me, I told her voicemail. I have screenshots. And Derek and I found everything. The embezzlement, the fake medical records, the payments to Jade. Everything. Vanessa called back at 7 a.m. I hadn't slept. Bring me everything you found, she said. Every photograph, every screenshot. And Simone? Yes? File a police report about the threats. Now, we're going to need a restraining order. The police report took 3 hours. The officer who took my statement was sympathetic but clearly exhausted from hearing similar stories. How long were you married? She asked. 12 years. Any history of violence? No. He's not violent. He's just a liar and a thief, she said it gently. Ma'am, I see this a lot. Men who seem perfectly normal until their wives discover what they've been hiding. The threats usually escalate. I'm glad you're getting a restraining order. She gave me a case number and told me to call 911 if Marcus came near me or the house. Vanessa filed for the emergency restraining order that afternoon. It was granted within hours. Marcus was prohibited from coming within 200 feet of me or our daughters. His response came through his attorney, a guy named Bradley Hoffman, who had a reputation for defending wealthy men in ugly divorces. Miss Chen is clearly experiencing a mental health crisis. Our client is deeply concerned about the welfare of his children, who are currently in the care of a woman making increasingly erratic and unfounded accusations. We request emergency custody pending full evaluation of Miss Chen's fitness as a parent. Vanessa called me laughing. Actually laughing. What's funny? I asked. They're using the playbook we already know about. The fake psychiatric evaluation? They were planning to introduce that as evidence. But now we have proof it's fabricated, proof of their plan to use it, and proof they're still trying to execute that plan even after being caught. They just handed us their entire strategy. So what do? We file a motion to compel discovery of all his financial records, including the offshore accounts. We introduce evidence of the affair. We show the court the videos of him and your sister planning to defraud you. And we ask for full custody, full marital assets, and sanctions for his attorney for filing a motion based on fraudulent evidence. If this story is making your blood boil like mine was, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, the revenge gets so much better. Your support means everything to this channel. When? Tomorrow. I'm filing everything tomorrow. And Simone? I'm also filing criminal complaints for embezzlement, fraud, and identity theft for the fake medical records. Your husband isn't just losing this divorce, he's going to jail. That night, Jade called. I'd blocked Marcus, but not her. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear what she'd say. Simone, please, we need to talk. No, we don't. I'm your sister. Doesn't that mean anything? The audacity. You slept with my husband for 2 years. In my house, in my bed. You helped him steal from me and planned to take my children. What exactly do you think sisterhood means? I love him, she said, and she sounded like she actually believed it. I've loved him for years, since before you even married him. You don't understand what it's been like watching you have everything I wanted. So you tried to take it. He was going to leave you anyway. The marriage was already over. The marriage was over because you were sleeping with my husband. You were never right for him, she shouted. You're boring, Simone. You're safe and predictable and boring. He needs someone who challenges him, someone exciting, someone who'd help him commit fraud. She went quiet. I know everything, Jade. The money he paid for your apartment, your car, your shopping sprees. I know about the offshore accounts, the embezzlement, the fake medical records, and I know that when this all comes out, you're going to lose everything. Your apartment, your car, your reputation. Maybe your job when they find out you were complicit in financial fraud. You wouldn't. I already did. Vanessa filed criminal complaints this afternoon. The FBI investigates offshore money laundering. Did you know that? They're probably going to want to talk to you about what you knew, when you knew it, what you helped him hide. I could hear her breathing, fast and panicked. You destroyed me, I continued. You took the person I trusted most in the world, my sister, and you betrayed me in the worst way possible. So yes, Jade, I would. I will. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. I'm family, she whispered. You were family. Now you're just another person who underestimated me. I hung up. Derek had been listening from the kitchen doorway. You okay? No, but I will be. My phone buzzed again. Another text from a blocked number. This isn't over. You think you're so smart? You're going to regret this, both of you. I showed Derek. That's a direct threat, he said. Forward it to Vanessa and the police. Now. I did. Then I went upstairs to check on my daughters. Zoe and Maya were asleep in their rooms, peaceful and innocent, unaware that their whole world was crumbling. I stood in Maya's doorway, watching her breathe, and made myself a promise. No matter what it took, no matter how hard this got, I would protect them. I would make sure they grew up knowing their mother fought for them, that she didn't let herself be destroyed by people who thought she was weak. I would win. Vanessa's office called at 8 a.m. on January 2nd. The forensic accountant had finished her preliminary analysis. "You need to see this," Vanessa said. "Come in at noon." Sarah Williamson was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with bright red hair and a laptop covered in financial software stickers. She had spreadsheets pulled up on 3 different screens. "Miss Chen," she said, shaking my hand. "I've been doing this work for 12 years. I've never seen someone this brazen." She turned her laptop to face me. "Your husband has been systematically draining your consulting firm's accounts for 23 months. He has access because you added him as a signatory 4 years ago for emergency situations, correct?" "Yes. I thought I trusted him to handle things if I was traveling. He's handled things all right. Here." She pointed to a series of highlighted transactions. Every time a client payment came in over $10,000, he would wait exactly 5 business days, then transfer between 15 and 30% to this account. She clicked to another screen. "A business account he opened in your company's name, but with a slightly different spelling, Symone instead of Simone. The bank didn't catch it because he used your EIN and copied your signature." "That's fraud," I said. "Textbook fraud." And then, she clicked again. "He moves the money to this offshore account in the Caymans, then to this one in Switzerland, then back to a personal account here in the States, but in a different bank, under an LLC he created. Total amount moved, $317,000. The room spun. 300,000. Yes. That's more than twice what Derek found. Your brother-in-law only had access to some of the accounts. This is everything." Sarah pulled up another screen. "And it gets worse. Your sister Jade Mitchell has been receiving direct transfers from one of these LLC accounts, $55,000 over the past 14 months, categorized as consulting fees, but I can't find any evidence she actually worked for any of these companies." "She didn't. It was payment for the affair." Sarah nodded. "That's what I figured, which means it's traceable, it's documented, and it's recoverable. We can go after her assets to recoup what she received." Vanessa leaned forward. "And the medical records? The psychiatrist who allegedly evaluated Miss Chen?" Sarah pulled up a document. "Dr. Richard Pembroke. I did some digging. He's real. He practices in Evanston. But his office has no record of Miss Chen as a patient. When I called pretending to be an insurance verification agent, the receptionist said they don't do forensic evaluations for custody cases. They don't even do evaluations for legal purposes at all. So the letter is completely fake," I said. "Completely. Which means someone committed forgery and fraud. I'm guessing it was your husband, but maybe he had help." "Jade works in pharmaceutical sales," Derek said quietly. "She has access to medical letterhead, doctor contacts. We should talk to Dr. Pembroke directly," Vanessa said. "If someone forged his signature and used his credentials, that's identity theft. He'll want to cooperate with law enforcement." Sarah pulled up one more screen. "Last thing, the custody plan. I found draft legal documents on the cloud storage Derek accessed. Your husband and his attorney drafted a motion for emergency custody 6 weeks ago, before Christmas, before you even knew about the affair." She turned the screen. I read the document. "Simone Chen has exhibited increasingly erratic behavior, including paranoid accusations against her husband, memory loss, and emotional volatility. For the safety and well-being of the minor children, Mr. Chen requests emergency temporary custody pending full psychological evaluation." "They were going to do this, whether you found out or not," Vanessa said. "This was always the plan. Get your father's properties transferred, claim you're unstable, take the kids, take the money, and leave you with nothing." "Can we use this?" I asked. "Oh, we're doing better than that," Vanessa smiled. "We're going to hand-deliver this to Judge Morrison and show her that opposing counsel helped draft motions based on fraudulent evidence. Bradley Hoffman is going to be facing ethics violations. Marcus is going to be facing criminal charges. And you're going to get everything." The emergency custody hearing was scheduled for January 8th. Marcus's attorney had filed for it, confident that with the fake psychiatric evaluation and his claim that I was making unfounded allegations, he'd get temporary custody while the divorce proceeded. They had no idea what we had. Vanessa and I arrived at court 30 minutes early. Derek was already there with Paulina. My father had flown in from Arizona the night before. He sat in the second row, his jaw tight, rage simmering behind his eyes. Marcus arrived with Bradley Hoffman and 2 associates. He was wearing his best suit, hair perfectly styled, playing the role of concerned father. Jade wasn't with him, smart. Or maybe Vanessa's legal threats had scared her off. Judge Morrison entered. We all stood. This is an emergency hearing regarding temporary custody of minor children in the matter of Chen versus Chen, she began. Mr. Hoffman, you filed this motion. Present your case. Hoffman stood. He was good. I'd give him that. He spoke eloquently about his concern for my deteriorating mental state, about the wild accusations I'd made, about Marcus's desire to protect his daughters from a mother who was clearly experiencing a psychological crisis. We have documentation from a licensed psychiatrist indicating Miss Chen has been experiencing paranoid delusions and should not have unsupervised access to the children until a full evaluation can be completed. He slid a copy of the fake report across to the judge. Judge Morrison read it. Her expression didn't change. Miss Kim? Response? Vanessa stood. She looked like a shark that had just smelled blood. Your Honor, the document Mr. Hoffman just presented is a complete fabrication. Dr. Richard Pembroke, the psychiatrist whose signature appears on that evaluation, has never met my client. His office has no record of her as a patient. And this morning, she held up a piece of paper, Dr. Pembroke himself filed a police report for identity theft and forgery. Someone used his credentials to create a fraudulent medical document. We believe it was Mr. Chen, or someone acting on his behalf. Hoffman went pale. Furthermore, Vanessa continued, we have evidence that Mr. Hoffman himself helped draft this custody motion 6 weeks ago, before any of the alleged incidents that supposedly prompted it. Which means this motion isn't based on emergency circumstances. It's based on a premeditated plan to defraud the court. She handed the judge a stack of documents. Derek's cloud storage evidence showing the draft custody motion. Judge Morrison's expression hardened. Mr. Hoffman, did you draft any portion of this motion before the date filed? Hoffman looked at Marcus. Marcus was sweating. Aye, Your Honor. I may have discussed strategy with my client, but did you draft this motion before January 1st? Some preliminary language, but yes or no? Yes. Judge Morrison set down her pen. So you filed an emergency motion based on circumstances that hadn't happened yet, based on a psychological evaluation that doesn't exist, and you're asking me to remove children from their mother based on fabricated evidence? Your Honor, I didn't know the evaluation was fabricated. Then you failed to do due diligence before filing a motion to remove children from their parent, which is malpractice at minimum. She turned to Vanessa. What else do you have? Video evidence, Your Honor, recorded by Mr. Chen's brother, Derek Chen, showing the affair between Marcus Chen and Miss Day, Chen's sister, Jade Mitchell, and showing both parties discussing their plan to defraud my client, claim she was mentally unfit, and steal her assets and custody of her children. Judge Morrison looked at Marcus. Is this true? Marcus stood. Your Honor, my relationship with Miss Mitchell is not relevant to. Is it true that you engaged in an affair with your wife's sister? Yes, but... And is it true that you discussed plans to claim your wife was mentally unstable so you could gain custody? Marcus didn't answer. Mr. Chen, answer the question. It's taken out of context, he finally said. The videos don't show. I'd like to see them, Judge Morrison said. Bailiff, please set up the playback equipment. Vanessa loaded the first video, the Christmas Day kitchen footage. The courtroom was silent as we watched. Marcus and Jade, wrapped around each other, discussing how clueless I was, how they'd drain my accounts, how they'd take everything. Judge Morrison watched without expression. When it ended, she said, Is there more? 6 more videos, Your Honor, and multiple audio recordings. All of them showing Mr. Chen and Miss Mitchell engaged in an affair in Miss Chen's home while discussing plans to commit financial fraud and parental alienation. I've seen enough. Judge Morrison turned to Marcus. Mr. Chen, I'm denying your motion for emergency custody. In fact, I'm granting Miss Chen's request for full temporary custody with supervised visitation only for you. You will have no contact with the children except in the presence of a court-appointed supervisor, 2 hours per week, until the full custody evaluation is complete. Your Honor, I'm not finished. I'm also ordering a full forensic accounting of all marital assets, including any offshore accounts. Both parties will provide complete financial disclosure within 10 days. Failure to comply will result in contempt charges. She looked at Bradley Hoffman. And I'm referring this matter to the State Bar Ethics Committee for investigation of your conduct in filing this motion. Hoffman looked like he'd been slapped. This hearing is adjourned. Full divorce hearing is set for February 15th. Mr. Chen, I suggest you use that time to get your affairs in order. Because based on what I've seen today, you're going to need it. She stood. We all stood. And then it was over. Marcus tried to approach me in the hallway. Derek stepped between us. You can't do this, Marcus said. His voice was desperate, nothing like the confident man who'd walked into court. Simone, please. The supervised visitation, I'm their father. You should have thought about that before you tried to steal them from me, I said. I love them. I love you. This is all a misunderstanding. I watched you plan my destruction. You don't get to claim love now. His attorney pulled him away, already talking settlement, already trying to salvage something from the wreckage. My father came up behind me. Are you okay? I'm winning, Dad. That's close enough for now. He hugged me. Your mother would be so proud. We went to Vanessa's office to debrief. Sarah, the forensic accountant, was already there with more findings. They're going to try to hide more assets, she said. I guarantee it. But we're ahead of them now. I've frozen the offshore accounts through international court orders. The Swiss account is trickier, but we're working on it. How much total are we looking at? I asked. Conservatively? With the house, the business assets, the stolen funds, and everything else? You're looking at a settlement worth at least $3 million, maybe more. $3 million. From a man who'd tried to leave me with nothing. And Jade? I asked. Vanessa smiled. I filed a civil suit against her this morning for alienation of affection, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and fraud. We're asking for $500,000 in damages. She doesn't have $500,000. No. But her employer might be interested to know their sales rep was using company resources to conduct an affair and commit fraud, and her landlord might want to know the rent's been paid with stolen money. She'll lose her job, her apartment, probably her car. She'll spend the next decade rebuilding her credit and her reputation. It should have felt better. The revenge should have felt sweet. Instead, I just felt tired. What happens now? I asked. Now we wait for February 15th, Vanessa said. The final hearing, where we present everything and the judge decides final custody and asset division. They could still fight. They could, but they won't win. Not with this evidence. I went home that night to my empty house, put the girls to bed after reading them extra stories, stood in the kitchen where Marcus and Jade had betrayed me, and, for the first time in weeks, I didn't cry. I was done crying. Now I was just waiting for justice. The news spread fast. In Chicago's social circles, gossip travels at the speed of light, and a messy divorce involving fraud, affairs, and criminal charges, that was premium content. My phone blew up with messages, old friends reaching out, acquaintances suddenly remembering we were close, people who'd known all along and were just waiting to see how it played out. One message stood out. From Marcus's business partner, Raymond. Simone, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. If I had known, I would have said something. I'm dissolving my partnership with Marcus, effective immediately. If you need any documentation for your case, I'm happy to provide it. I forwarded it to Vanessa. Another message. From Jade's best friend, Christina. I can't believe she did this to you. She talked about Marcus constantly, but I thought it was just a crush. I'm so sorry. If you need someone to testify about her behavior, I will. Forward to Vanessa. The evidence kept mounting. People who'd seen them together. Receipts from hotels, restaurant charges, a paper trail of betrayal documented by witnesses who were suddenly willing to talk. Marcus tried to do damage control. He posted on social media about navigating difficult times and staying focused on what matters. The comments were brutal. Is what matters your wife's sister? What matters is not committing fraud, dude. Hope prison food matters to you. He deleted the post within an hour. Jade went silent, deleted her social media. Word was she'd moved out of the downtown apartment and was staying with a friend in the suburbs. Her employer had put her on leave pending an internal investigation. The dominoes were falling. On January 20th, the FBI contacted Vanessa. They wanted to interview me about the offshore accounts and the money laundering. I spent 4 hours in a federal building, telling them everything, showing them everything. The agent taking my statement was a woman in her 40s named Rebecca Torres. "Miss Chen, I want to be clear about something," she said when we finished. "What your husband did, the systematic fraud, the offshore transfers, the identity theft for those medical records, this is serious federal crime. If we pursue this, he could be looking at 10 to 15 years. "Good," I said. She studied me. "You're sure? Because once we file charges, there's no going back. Even if you wanted to drop it, it would be out of your hands. The government would prosecute." "I'm sure." "Okay," she closed her notebook. "We'll be in touch." 2 days later, FBI agents showed up at Marcus's hotel and seized his computers, his phones, and boxes of documents. The news made the local business section. "Real estate developer under federal investigation for fraud," my father called. "I saw the news. How are you holding up?" "I'm okay, Dad. I talked to my attorney. The property transfer is on hold until this is all resolved. I don't want Marcus to have any claim to anything that's yours." "Thank you." "Simone," he said gently, "your mother would be so proud of how strong you're being. Mom had died 3 years ago. Cancer. She'd loved Marcus. Thought he was perfect for me." "I wish she was here," I whispered. "Me too, baby. Me too." On February 1st, Vanessa called with news. Hoffman reached out. "Marcus wants to settle." "What's he offering?" "Full custody to you. He'll take supervised visitation, 2 hours a week. You keep the house, your business, all marital savings. He keeps his business but pays you $300,000 from the offshore accounts he moved. And he'll plead guilty to the fraud charges in exchange for a reduced sentence." "What does that mean, reduced sentence?" "Probably 5 to 7 years instead of 10 to 15. He'd serve maybe 3 with good behavior." I thought about my daughters, about explaining to them why their father was in prison, about the years of therapy they'd need, about growing up with this shadow over them. "What do you think I should do?" I asked. "That's not my call," Vanessa said, "but I'll tell you this. If you take it to trial, we'll win. You'll get more money, probably full custody permanently. But it'll be a circus. Media coverage, ugly testimony. Your daughters will be old enough to understand some of it. And at the end, he still goes to prison because the federal charges are separate. So either way, he goes to prison. Either way, he goes to prison." I thought about mercy, about forgiveness, about whether Marcus deserved either. "Counteroffer," I said. "Full custody, supervised visitation. I get the house and my business and $500,000 from the offshore accounts that's closer to what he actually stole. He pays all legal fees, including the forensic accountant. And he pleads guilty, but I'll write a letter supporting reduced sentencing if and only if he agrees to therapy and a formal apology to our daughters when they're old enough to understand. He won't go for 500. Then we go to trial. Tell him he has 48 hours. Marcus agreed in 36 hours. The settlement was signed on February 10th, 5 days before the scheduled trial. I stood in Vanessa's office, holding the paperwork that officially ended my marriage. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I can breathe again." "Good. Because you just won one of the most complete victories I've ever seen in divorce court. He's lost everything, his marriage, his business reputation, his freedom. And you? You're walking away with your dignity, your children, and enough money to build whatever life you want." I signed the papers. 12 years of marriage ended with a pen stroke. The sentencing hearing was in April. I didn't attend. I didn't need to see Marcus in an orange jumpsuit to know that justice had been served. According to Vanessa, he got 6 years, eligible for parole in 4 with good behavior. The judge wasn't sympathetic. "Mr. Chen, you had every advantage," Judge Morrison said at sentencing. "A successful business, a loving family, a bright future, and you threw it all away for greed. You stole from your wife. You betrayed your family. You committed fraud against financial institutions and the court system. This sentence reflects the serious nature of your crimes and the calculated cruelty with which you executed them. Derek attended. He texted me after. He cried. Asked the judge if he could see his daughters before prison. Judge said, "That's up to their mother." Thought you should know. I didn't respond. Jade's civil case settled out of court. She agreed to pay $300,000 in damages, money she didn't have, which meant wage garnishment for the next 15 years. She lost her job, her apartment, her car. Last I heard, she was living with our aunt in Indiana, working retail. She sent me a letter in May, a real letter, handwritten on lined paper. "Simone, I know you'll probably throw this away. I wouldn't blame you. But I need to say this, even if you never forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What I did was unforgivable. I destroyed our family for something that wasn't even real. Marcus doesn't love me. He never did. He used me to hurt you, and I let him because I was jealous and bitter and small. I've lost everything. My job, my home, my reputation. But the worst part is losing you. Losing my nieces, knowing they'll grow up hating me. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I know what I did, and I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it. Jade." I read it once. Put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe not. The house sold in June. Too many memories. Too many ghosts. I bought a smaller place in Evanston, near good schools, with a yard for the girls. We painted Zoe's room purple and Maya's room yellow. Started fresh. My consulting business thrived. Turned out, my reputation as someone who doesn't tolerate being cheated in business or life made me very attractive to clients who valued integrity. Revenue doubled. My father transferred the commercial properties in August. 6 buildings, $12 million in value, all mine. I hired a property management company and used the income to fund a scholarship for women leaving abusive relationships to go back to school. Named it after my mother. Derek and Paulina became even closer friends. He still felt guilty for not telling me sooner, but I'd made peace with it. He did what he thought was right, and he gave me the evidence I needed to protect myself and my girls. The girls adjusted. Therapy helped. They saw Marcus once a month in supervised visits at a family center. Zoe was angry at first, asking why Daddy couldn't come home. Maya was quieter, drawing pictures of our new house, our new life. "Are you sad Daddy's gone?" Maya asked me one night at bedtime. I thought about lying, about protecting her, but I'd built my new life on truth. "I'm sad about what he did," I said, "but I'm not sad that we're safe now, and I'm not sad that we get to start over." "Me neither," she said. "I like our new house better." "Why?" "Because nobody's lying here. Kids know. They always know." Thank you for staying until the end. If this story gave you the justice you needed to see, check out the other videos on screen, they're just as satisfying. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? See you in the next story. 1 year after the divorce was finalized, I stood in my kitchen, the new kitchen, the one without ghosts, making Sunday breakfast for my daughters. Zoe was teaching Maya to make pancakes. Flour everywhere, giggles filling the air. The radio played old R&B, the kind my mother used to love. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Miss Chen, this is Rebecca Torres from the FBI. I wanted to give you an update." "Okay. We've recovered 97% of the funds your ex-husband moved offshore. After legal fees and processing, you should receive an additional $230,000. The check will arrive within 6 weeks. Thank you. Also, we found additional evidence during our investigation. Your ex-husband had been running a similar scheme with business partners. You weren't the only one he defrauded. There are 3 other victims who are now filing charges. How long will he be in prison? With the additional charges? Probably 12 to 15 years total. He won't be eligible for parole until he's almost 60. I should have felt something. Satisfaction, maybe. Or sympathy. I felt nothing. "Thank you for letting me know," I said. After I hung up, Zoe looked at me. "Was that about Daddy?" "Yes. Is he coming home?" "No, sweetheart. Not for a very long time." She nodded, went back to her pancakes, didn't ask anything else. They were resilient, my girls, stronger than I'd given them credit for. In September, I started dating again. Nothing serious. coffee with a colleague from a client's company, dinner with a man I met at a fundraiser for my mother's scholarship fund. Derek and Paulina set me up with one of Paulina's cousins, a disaster, but we laughed about it after. I wasn't ready for anything serious. Maybe I never would be. But I was ready to be open to possibilities. My father visited in October. He'd aged since Mom died, moved slower, smiled less, but seeing me and the girls in our new life brought light back to his eyes. "You did good, baby girl," he said, watching Zoe and Maya play in the backyard. "Your mama would be proud." "I hope so. I know so. You could have let this destroy you. Instead, you fought back. You protected your babies. You built something better." He squeezed my hand. "That takes real strength." I didn't feel strong. I felt terrified most of the time. That's what courage is. Being terrified and doing it anyway. On Christmas one year after Derek pulled me aside and changed everything, we had a small gathering. Derek and Paulina, their kids, my father, a few close friends. No drama, no lies, no ghosts. We decorated the tree together. The girls hung ornaments they'd made in art class. We ate too much food and played board games and laughed until our sides hurt. At midnight, after everyone had gone home and the girls were asleep, I stood on my back porch looking at the stars. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I know I have no right to contact you, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry, and I'm proud of how strong you've been. You deserved better than what I gave you. M." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it, blocked the number, went inside. He didn't get to be part of this story anymore. This story was mine and my daughter's. A story about betrayal, yes, but more importantly, about survival, about fighting back, about refusing to be destroyed by people who underestimated me. I'd spent 12 years being the supportive wife, the understanding sister, the woman who made things easy for everyone else. Now I was something different. Harder, wiser, free. Marcus, if you're somehow reading this, if someone smuggles it to you in prison, or if you read it years from now when you finally get out, I want you to know something. I don't forgive you. I don't forgive you for the affair, for the lies, for sleeping with my sister in our bed while our daughters slept down the hall, for plotting to steal everything I'd built, for trying to convince the world I was crazy so you could take my children. I don't forgive you for making me doubt myself, for the nights I lay awake wondering if I was paranoid, if I was seeing things that weren't there. You were gaslighting me, and you did it with the casual cruelty of someone who'd had lots of practice. I don't forgive you for stealing from my business, from my family, for moving money to offshore accounts while I worked 16-hour days to keep us comfortable, for using my trust as a weapon against me. But here's what you need to understand. I don't need to forgive you to be free of you. You thought I was weak, predictable, too boring and trusting to fight back. You told Jade I'd never figure it out, that I'd sign whatever you put in front of me, that taking everything from me would be easy. You were wrong. You're sitting in a federal prison right now. You lost your business, your reputation, your freedom. Your daughters see you 2 hours a month in a supervised visitation room, and even then, they barely look at you. The affair partner you threw everything away for? She's living with our aunt, working a retail job, and will be paying me for the next 15 years. Meanwhile, I'm living in a house I bought myself, running a business that's more successful than ever, raising our daughters to be strong, independent women who don't tolerate betrayal. I have friends who respect me, clients who trust me, and a future that belongs entirely to me. You gave up a good life, a woman who loved you, children who adored you, a comfortable existence for what? For greed? For an affair with someone who was only with you for money you stole? How does it feel knowing you destroyed everything for nothing? I hope you think about it every day. Every morning when you wake up in a cell. Every night when you try to sleep on a prison cot. I hope you think about what you had and what you threw away. I hope you think about the Christmas videos Derek recorded, about being caught in the act of planning my destruction, about standing in court watching everything you schemed for crumble to dust. I hope you remember my face when I said, "Get out of my house," the moment you realized I knew everything, the moment you understood you'd finally pushed too far. Most of all, I hope you learned something. I hope prison teaches you that actions have consequences, that you can't lie, cheat, and steal your way through life without eventually paying the price. Our daughters ask about you sometimes. They're in therapy, working through the trauma of watching their father go to prison, of understanding as much as children can what you did to our family. They're resilient. They'll be okay. But they'll grow up knowing exactly who you are, and when they're old enough, they'll read the court transcripts. They'll see the videos. They'll understand what you tried to do to their mother. They'll know you chose yourself over them, over all of us. And they'll make their own decisions about whether you deserve a place in their lives. As for me, I'm done. Done thinking about you, done being angry, done carrying the weight of your betrayal. You don't get to occupy space in my head anymore. I built a new life from the ashes you left behind, a better life, a life where I'm respected, valued, free, a life where I'm finally, truly happy. Thank you for showing me what I'm capable of. Thank you for underestimating me so completely that you made catastrophic mistakes. Thank you for being exactly who you were, so I could become exactly who I needed to be. I don't forgive you, but I don't need to. I already won. Simone.